Hello, RTA Osos. This week we are going to be taking inspiration from this really cool book called Vamos, Let's Go Eat by Raul the Third. He's an awesome artist, author, and illustrator, and he writes all of these books that are the Vamos books, and he also illustrates and does all the drawings. He has an artist friend, Elaine Bay, and she does all of the coloring of his illustrations. So he does all the drawings and writes the story, and she colors it in. And so you can see there's a couple of characters that are out here on the front of the book, and they are visiting a food truck. And so right now, I know I miss going to restaurants with my friends and family. I also am really missing going to the food trucks and supporting those local businesses. So this book I thought would be fun because it's a way for us to be creative and also inspired by Raul the Third's illustrations, but also just look forward to when we can go back to going to the restaurants again. So let's go open this book up and let's take a look at some of the illustrations. The illustrations are really awesome in this book, the way he drew all of the characters with tons of detail. And I'm going to have a special friend read the book for you this week too. So right now, this video lesson is all just about getting inspiration for drawing our own food truck. All right, so here you can see, these are some of the food trucks that Raul the Third has in his book. So there's Tortas Tortuga. That's really cool. It has some details over here, such as the torty, the turtle torta, and there's a big torta on top. And then over here in the center, there's Nochi's Nachos, and it says, "That's nacho cheese." That's a good little joke there with some nachos on top. Lots of details, like a little curved roof over here and some little scalloped edges. Lots of little nachos on the side of this one. That's a cool detail. Over here, this is the painted burro. And this is actually inspired by a real place. I'm going to be also posting a video this week of Raul the Third, where he's actually in this restaurant because he's painted some art to hang up on the walls. So you'll have to check that out as well. But he included that in his artwork. And so this one is the Painted Burro, one of his favorite real restaurants. And you can see this one has a really cool little unicorn up on the top of it. I like that detail. That's really cool too. So as we're going through the story, like I said, there's going to be a whole other video of the story being read to you as well. This time we're just looking at all of the different pictures and getting some inspiration with some of these cool food trucks. Like look at this one. Fish taco truck right here. Que pez, right? That's cool. Over here, arroz con pollo. It has a big old chicken wing up on top, and it looks like a chicken head on the front of the food truck. That's pretty cool. Over here is Picoso Taco Tuesday. That looks like a pretty cool one. The actual truck looks like a taco. That's really creative. And then right here, Toro Treats. This one's really cool too. It has big old toro horns on the front, big old eyes that look like the Lucha Libre fighter, one of the characters in this story. So that one's pretty awesome as well. I'm just going through here and enjoying these illustrations. They're really, really, really detailed. There's lots of really cool ones. Here's Toro, the character from the story I was just talking about with his food truck. And I want to go through a little bit further here in the center to look at some of these food trucks maybe like really up close. Here's a page that has the food truck really up close, and you can see the shape of it kind of has a little curve here, and it's really more like a square or a rectangle right here. And then there's like a little triangle shape here, a rectangle shape here, and a rectangle shape here. And it looks kind of three-dimensional the way this is drawn. So we'll start looking at that in a little bit here. And you can start thinking about who might be running your food truck and maybe what details are going to be on your food truck. So here is the Painted Burro again, and it's looking really cool over there with its little unicorn friend on the front. And over here, this one is Kimchi Kiosko. This one's like a Korean food truck and has a really cool looking tiger on the side of it over there, and a bird and some cactus. So you can add some details to your food truck, because the objective of our artwork today is actually to make our own creative food truck. This one right here also has a little bit more details of some of the corn over on the side. There's a cool moon and stars around here, and there's all these little cool festive lights. That's a cool detail on that food truck. And let's see. Wow, I really just... Oh, this one's so cool. Look at this one. It's a quesadilla. All right, so I think I've gotten some inspiration from Vamos, Let's Go Eat. And right now, I'm going to be able to start drawing. I definitely think I want to start drawing with a pencil today. And I want to start drawing. There's two different ways we could draw one of these food trucks. So I'm going to show you some of the steps to do that. I'm going to draw one that's more flat and two-dimensional first, and then I'll draw one that's more three-dimensional, and then we can start coloring one of them in, okay? So if I wanted to make this kind of two-dimensional truck, I'm going to draw like a really, really, really light rectangle in the center for my food truck, because mostly the food truck is just kind of like a big rectangle, kind of like that. And then over here, there's a little curved or like diagonal line, that goes down like this. And then it comes straight down and it lines up as well right here. And so this is starting to make the shape of the food truck. Another thing about Raul the Third's food trucks is they kind of curve over here on this little part right here. Up in the corners, they curve around. And now I want to start thinking about maybe adding the wheel wells, which is kind of like a half circle. So there's one half circle right here for one of the wheel wells. And then we could add another half circle right here for the other wheel well. And I can add this circle to finish that off for the wheel. And there's a little circle in the center I could add as another detail. And as well, in a lot of the food trucks, they have a big window that they open up so people can come up and see what they're cooking and they can order their food. So I'm going to add a big rectangle right there for that. I also think I'll add the little bumper that'll go around the bottom of the food truck. And the one last thing I want to add on here is a door. There was a door on a lot of the food trucks that sort of looks like this. It had a little window to get inside of the food truck. Cool, so now we have the basic, more two-dimensional version of a food truck. I could also even add some of those little lights that are sticking out in the front of a lot of the food trucks. And now I want to start thinking about using my creativity on what kind of food truck this is. What is this going to sell, right? So, I'm trying to think of what could be a really cool example of a food truck. And I think I have an idea. So a lot of the Raul the Third's food trucks up here had something on top that showed what food it was, which I thought was really creative. They also had the words of what it was selling written on the side, and they had some cool pictures there too. So I think that what this is going to be is, let's see. I think I have an idea. So I'm going to add something on the top up here. And maybe down here, I'll add a detail on the side of the food truck. Okay, I have that part done. Maybe I'll add another one over here. I was inspired by those cacti. I saw some cacti in the book over there that when I was reading it. That kind of inspired me. So I have two cacti here, and I think I'm going to call this Cactus Donuts. So maybe I'll add the word donuts down here on the side of the food truck as well. And so now I feel pretty good. The other thing I can do is I can, of course, add myself or another character you might like to create driving the little food truck, because it's not set up for sale. The food's not ready to eat yet. So I'll add myself over here onto the food truck. Cool. And so now I'll be ready to start coloring it in. But first, I want to show you, of course I need to sign my name on here, right? So let me put my signature on here. We always want to sign our artwork. And so I'm going to add the little paintbrush under it. Cool. So that is one way you could draw it so it is more flat, like this. I'm going to draw the same food truck, but a little bit more three-dimensional, sort of like the way Raul the Third draws his food trucks in Let's Go Eat. All right, so I have another piece of paper here, and again, if you don't have paper at home, you could also use the inside of a cereal box. You could use cardboard, you could use envelopes, you could use the back of another paper. You can definitely be very creative with how you're creating these. So, the same way as I started drawing this last time, I drew it kind of flat, but this time we're going to draw it so it's more three-dimensional. So now, that rectangle that I was drawing that was very flat is kind of like this right here, and it's turned on its side, and it's more diagonal. These are called diagonal lines like this. This is a diagonal line because it goes like from corner to corner. So you're going to create some diagonal lines. And then over here, we're also going to have that same kind of line over here that shows like where the windshield of the truck is, where the hood of the truck is, and then this is the front of the truck right here. And so this could be another way you could draw it as well. Either way would work. I'm again going to draw those wheel wells on here. That was like one of my next steps that I added on the other drawing. And then I'm going to kind of finish this in by adding the circle, adding the little circles inside, which actually looks sort of like donuts. So it works perfectly for my food truck. Over here, I can add the little grill that's on the front of a lot of trucks and cars. I could add some little circle lights because that would be perfect as well, like little donut lights for the donut truck. All right, and so maybe in the center there will be a big donut again because this is the donut food truck. Here's the windshield. Here's that door that we added last time on the other food truck. And then I can add the little rectangular door that opens up for when you are selling the food in the food truck. Cool. So now I know that I also added some cacti over here onto the painted on the side of the truck. So I can add those on here. And I know that I also added a little curve around like this. I don't want to forget that detail, like the bumper. Okay, and so now I know that it said donuts over here too. On top, there was a big donut. I'm going to start drawing that. And it said cactus donuts. So I have that part done there. I didn't finish drawing the circle because I want to draw those cacti that are growing out of the top of the food truck, like that. And so, of course, it doesn't have to be exactly like the other one. I'm going to add some of those little spikes that cacti have, because cacti are one of my favorite things to draw, so that's why I added them here. You could be thinking about something that you really, really, really love to draw as well, and that could be part of your food truck idea. And so I'm adding my little cacti over here. And a couple of those little blooms or fruit that are on the cacti as well. Cool. And then the last little detail is I can, of course, draw myself driving the food truck. You could also draw somebody else as well. I'll add myself, my little hands on the steering wheel, little curved line. It doesn't have to be perfect. I'm just trying my best. And here's a little seat from where I'm sitting so I can drive my food truck. Cool. So now I have two different examples. I have one that's a little bit more two-dimensional and flat like you're seeing it from the side. And then I have one that's a little three-dimensional as well. I think I'm going to start coloring in the two-dimensional one. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use some markers and some colored pencils. Again, if you don't have those at home, you can just do a pencil drawing too. That would be perfectly fine. Or one with pen. Or if you have crayons at home, you could color with those. Or with paint, you could paint this in. It is really up to you. So what I'm doing right now is I'm just going to start coloring in these cacti up at the top so they start looking more like cacti. And maybe I'll add some little lines going down, because oftentimes lots of cacti have little lines going down. And then I want to think about, after I finish coloring in my cacti with the green, I might want to think about, what color is going to, is my whole food truck going to be? So I kind of added that there. I'm going to color these cacti, I think, all the way in green on the side of the truck. I know that I don't want to make the side of the truck green because the rest of the cacti won't stand out very well, so maybe I'll choose a different color. Let's see. So I'm looking through my colored pencils and markers because that's what I have, and I'm thinking that a nice color for a donut food truck might be a pink color. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to color around the cacti that I just colored in. And I'm going to color in the food truck part that's going to be pink, which is going to be the hood of the food truck. I'm going to color everything in over here except for the little window where you can see me sitting inside. That's like the clear glass of the window. Man, this is really making me hungry for some donuts over here. Okay, so I'm coloring in the little section here as well with the pink. And I think I'm going to color around the top up here as well. Alright, so I'm shading this section in. And let's see, I think I'm good with that color for right now, but I did want to use this up here to color in those little fruit or the flowers that are on the cactus up top. Okay, so now I'm thinking about, I think I'm going to use a brown marker. I'm going to outline the wheels because the wheels are going to be like a donut, kind of. So I think I'm going to outline them in brown instead of black. That's going to be one thing I'm going to do. I'm going to do the same thing up here to my big donut sign. All right. And then now I think I might be ready to start outlining with black. So I'm going to add some black maybe to where it says Cactus Donuts, my food truck that I just created. So now I can really see that very well. I can outline around the outside of my food truck as well. Remember, it does not have to be perfect. You can see I made a little bit of a beautiful oops over there, but I'll be able to fix that here in a second. And it's all about having fun, being creative during this time when we're creating art at home. So I'm going to keep going around like this here. Those are little hinges for the door. Here's a little door handle. Here's the little window where you can see me. This is like a little counter right here where you can serve the food when the donut truck is stopped. Cool. So I think I've done most of the outlining. Let me outline the word donuts too. I can add the little spikes that are on these cacti up here. That's a good detail that I could add. I was thinking about how I could make the donuts more exciting on those wheels. Maybe I'll add some little sprinkles to the top of the donut with some red marker. And maybe I'll use some blue too, because I haven't really used any blue yet in this artwork. So I can add some little sprinkles here. Those are looking more like donuts now to me. All right, maybe I'll be wearing a blue shirt too. So now I'm just going around and I'm thinking, is there anything else that I forgot to color in? I'm kind of looking over here and I think that this would be a good place to maybe use a little gray that looks like metal on the outside of a vehicle. So I'm going to color this area in gray. And I might add just a little bit of colored pencil. And then I think I'm going to be so done with my Raul the Third inspired food truck. Cool. So I'm going to come over here. I'm grabbing some of my colored pencils. I'm shading this in like this is the icing that's on the donut. So I'm using a pink colored pencil for that. Shading this in. Cool. Shading this side over here in as well for my food truck. Those donut wheels are super cool. And I'll shade this, the cactus donut sign up there and color in that in pink too, to look like the icing on the top of the donut. Awesome. Now I might think about looking through my colored pencils and maybe getting another kind of green, and I could finish coloring in these little cacti up here, looking for some of those details. If you have some different materials, you can mix the materials up as you're using them. Going up here and shading this in. And I think last but not least, I might also use a little bit of this pink to shade in the door over here, where you open it up when I'm selling my donuts. Cool. So let's see, maybe I need to outline this as well, so you can see where the door is that opens up, and add some little hinges on top. Awesome. So I'm feeling pretty good about my Raul the Third inspired donut truck. You could think of another kind of food item that you might like to draw as well. And remember, you can draw it more flat like this, so you're using more basic shapes so it's easier to draw, or you can draw it more three-dimensional, sort of like the way Raul the Third also does that in his book too. Either one works perfectly, and then you can color them in. And of course, if you finish your artwork, you can always send your artwork to me in Class Dojo or in Parent Square, and I would love to put some of our food trucks up on Instagram. That would be cool if Raul the Third could see our food trucks. Awesome. So I really enjoyed doing another little art project here with you, and I'm looking forward to seeing your artwork on Wednesday. See you later.